Kyle Larson did something at Bristol that got a lot of people talking. And it wasn't just because he won 2 races. He led 277 out of 300 laps in the Xfinity race, and then went on to lead 411 out of 500 laps in the Cup race. That means he led 688 out of 800 possible laps over the weekend. Those numbers are crazy, and they show how dominant he was. But what really shocked people was what he said afterward, and fans are still talking about it. Larson went on Kevin Harvick's Happy Hour podcast and said something that came across as both bold and brutal. He admitted that part of the reason he races in the Xfinity Series is because he wants to embarrass the other drivers. He said that straight up.
In Xfinity, I do get motivated, and this is going to come across like very cocky, but I want to embarrass them, honestly. I want to embarrass NASCAR a little bit because they just don't let Cup guys run anymore. And the kids, they probably think they're in a good spot and they don't know where the bar is really at. So I like to go run those Xfinity races and just get 10-second leads to let them realize that they've got a lot of room to improve. And I think that's only better for our sport. When those young guys can compete with Cup guys, they're better suited for the Cup Series once they get there. Yes, I want to smash the field when I run Xfinity.
I love that.
That's motivating for me for sure.
His exact words were, "I want to embarrass them. I want to embarrass NASCAR a little bit because they don't let Cup guys run anymore." Larson was being completely honest, and that honesty hit a nerve. Larson's point was that young drivers in the Xfinity Series think they're doing great, but in his eyes, they don't really understand how far they still have to go. He said he likes to race in the Xfinity Series just so he can get 10-second leads and show them they have a lot of improving to do. He said that smashing the field motivates him, and he said it with confidence. Some people respected that confidence, while others thought he was being arrogant. It's easy to see why this upset some people. Denny Hamlin admitted that he was rooting for Larson to win all 3 races that weekend, until he heard what Larson said. Hamlin laughed about it later, saying he was glad Chandler Smith beat Larson in the Truck Series and stopped his clean sweep. Still, that moment added fuel to a rivalry that fans are already watching closely. Larson's dig at Hamlin made things personal. Hamlin also used the moment to criticize NASCAR for problems with a next-gen car. He said that NASCAR didn't test the car enough before launching it and that it wasn't ready. He pointed out how boring the Bristol race became because there were more than 200 laps without a caution. That's very rare in stage racing. Tire wear was almost zero, and it was hard to pass other cars. Hamlin said it flat out, you cannot pass. His main point was that no matter how good Larson was, the race itself was not good entertainment. Even Bubba Wallace, who finished 19th, said the race was rough. He had started with top 10 speed but got stuck in traffic and couldn't move forward. He posted online that it felt like things were going well, and then it just flatlined. Wallace didn't get angry though. He said hearing his wife and daughter laugh on the way to the plane helped him move on from that frustration. The moment showed how mature Wallace has become, but it didn't solve the problem everyone was talking about. The big issue is this. NASCAR made a rule to limit how many races Cup drivers can do in the Xfinity and Truck Series. They did this to give younger drivers a better chance to grow without being crushed by veterans. But Larson is saying that without those Cup stars around, young drivers won't know how much better they need to get. In his view, real growth only happens when you face the best and lose. Then you see the gap and try to close it. Kevin Harvick agreed. He remembered the early 2000s when Cup drivers win the Xfinity Series all the time. He said it was a constant evaluation, and young drivers always knew where they stood. If they weren't good enough, they had to work harder. Harvick seemed to support the idea that letting Cup stars race with younger drivers helped the sport more than it hurt it. But others are not so sure. If one driver leads 411 out of 500 laps, is that fun to watch? Fans might enjoy seeing their favorite driver win, but when there's no real challenge, the excitement fades. Even respected voices like Jeff Gluck said the race was bad and that if NASCAR keeps having races like this, they'll lose short tracks from the schedule. Short tracks are a big part of NASCAR's history, but they won't last if people stop showing up. Larson's dominance also shows something deeper. The way the current system works might not push drivers to their full potential. If young drivers never have to go head-to-head with Cup veterans, how will they learn? Racing with others who are just learning like them is good, but it doesn't force them to be great. Larson is showing them what greatness looks like, and whether people like it or not, that matters. At the same time, there's a risk here. If fans feel like races are too one-sided, they might lose interest. If drivers feel disrespected, they might tune out. Larson says he's trying to help the sport, but some think his tone could do more harm than good. Still, he's not wrong when he says that facing stronger competition is how people grow. That's true in sports, in school, and in life. Chandler Smith might have been the one person to slow down Larson's wild weekend. Smith beat Larson in the Truck Series and stopped him from sweeping all 3 events. Larson might have laughed it off, but it clearly bothered him. He even said that later, if Hamlin had been in front of him, the race could have gone very differently. That shows how much respect he still has for other top drivers, even if he talks tough. Right now, NASCAR is in a strange situation. There's a lot of noise behind the scenes about the new next-gen car. Many people believe this car would make things better, but it seems like the opposite is happening on short tracks. These are tracks that are smaller than 1 mile in length, and they often provide tight, exciting racing. But instead of creating more fun and fair battles, the next-gen car is causing frustration. A good example of this issue happened at the recent race in Bristol. The track is very famous for being fast and intense, even though it's only about 0.533 miles long. But this time, it felt more like a practice session for Kyle Larson than a real competition. Larson completely dominated the race. At one point, he was 10 seconds ahead of the second-place car. That may sound impressive, but it created a bigger problem. Fans want excitement, not just domination. If one driver is too fast and no one can catch him, the race becomes boring. Some fans at Bristol even left early or were looking at their phones during the race. Not a good sign for a sport that depends on strong audience support. NASCAR needs to ask itself, are we building stars or turning fans into bored spectators? Hamlin, another well-known driver, said this car can be fixed. He believes the drivers and teams can get together and solve the problem. He even suggested getting everyone into a room to talk openly. The idea behind the next-gen car was to make the sport fairer. Every team would have a better chance no matter their budget. On some tracks, the goal has worked. We've seen more drivers in the front and closer finishes. But on short tracks, it seems the car's design makes it hard to pass, hard to race, and even harder to enjoy. Kyle Larson's performance didn't just highlight this problem, it made it impossible to ignore. Larson is one of the best in the world, and when he joins lower-tier series like Xfinity, he doesn't just compete, he completely destroys the field. This sends a strange message. Young drivers like Sammy Smith, Chandler Smith, and Ty Gibbs are working hard to build their careers. But when a Cup Series superstar comes into the race and beats everyone easily, it makes them look weak, even if they're actually very talented. The Xfinity and Truck Series are supposed to be learning grounds. They help drivers grow before they move up to the Cup Series. But if Cup stars keep entering these races and winning with ease, what's the real value left for the young racers? Are they learning anything, or are they just becoming practice targets? This issue also brings up a big question for NASCAR leaders. Should they stop Cup drivers from racing in lower-tier series, or should they just adjust the rules to make it harder for one driver to dominate? Maybe they need to change how the next-gen car works on short tracks, or maybe they need to rethink how they support younger talent. Right now it seems NASCAR is at a crossroads. One path keeps things the same, hoping the problem goes away. The other path means change, listening to drivers, working with teams, and improving the product before more fans give up. Now, before you leave, just don't forget to give a like, smash that subscribe button, and also ring that notification bell for more upcoming uploads.